recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at ZEDGamesAU.
Hello listeners, you're listening to Z Games. My name is Zara and it is a very, very special episode tonight. It is our 700th episode. That is nearly just about 14 years of Z Games. And to celebrate this monumental achievement of managing to survive for 700 episodes, with me in the studio tonight, I have...
Ray, aka Razor, which is my edgy gaming name that I made in 2010.
And...
Easy E, the former EP of Z Games.
And...
Ronnie, I've just been here for too long.
You've just been here for too long. And we're here to talk about everything to do with Z Games and how basically reflect on our journey together. Have a little look at the history of Z Games and just sort of reflect a little bit tonight. So listeners, I do promise some video game news and music and a little bit of a trip down memory lane. But before that, we're just going to hop straight into the Week in Gaming News by the lovely Cameron.
Even though video games peaked in 2004, there's still video game news happening. So let's check it out. Tony Hawk is back, literally. Do you love the soundtrack to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? Do you love skateboarding? Or at least pretending to skateboard on a video game console? Do you love going outside and doing things? Then boy howdy, do I have good news for you. To celebrate 25 years of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the Fortitude Music Hall will celebrate with THPS 25 on January 27. 2 gigs, 1 all ages and 1 for those of us who were around when the first game came out. It'll feature bands playing music from the game, an area set aside with consoles for you to play the classics, a giant vert ramp and none other than Tony Hawk himself. Body Jar will be there at the 18 plus gig, playing their contribution to the classic game soundtrack, and Birdman, or the unexpected virtue of a Tony Hawk cover band, will be playing all the classics in addition to acts like Alex Leahy and Teenage Jones. Skate legends Lizzie Armento, Elliot Sloan and Reese Nelson join Tony Hawk and other pro skaters to show off their skills. It's going to be totally late 90s rific. Find out more at thps25.com.au. South Park calls out Baldur's Gate. The latest South Park special made a snide joke about Baldur's Gate 3's cross-platform saves not working, prompting developer Larian to respond publicly on social media. In the show, the kids of South Park travel to an alternate universe where they're in different bodies. Alternate reality Cartman complains about how they'd already sunk 50 hours into Baldur's Gate 3 and wanted to know if save games could cross between multiple universes. The reply from Stan jokes that cross-saves don't even work between PCs and PlayStation 5s. In reply, Larian posted that while cross-multiversal barriers are beyond their technological capabilities, cross-saves between PC and PS5 in this dimension does indeed work. So there you go folks, next time you want to complain about something in a game not working right for you, just start up a multi-million-dollar entertainment franchise and use it to complain directly to the developers. Atari keep buying history. Longtime video game publishers and my number one enemy on earth, Atari, keep buying up companies. After a string of acquisitions including the Atari Age website, video game history database Moby Games, and the back catalogues of classic computer game developers Accolade and Microprose, they just announced the acquisition of Digital Eclipse. These guys are widely known as the premier software house that deals in remastering classic games for modern systems. Recently released the amazing The History of a Karateka, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection, and the Atari 50. The $20 million deal means two things. One, Atari now has a top-tier studio that can handle their preservation and re-release efforts. And two, someone's given Atari $20 million and I want to know who it was. Confess your sins, you heathens. Atari does not show pity or remorse or fear and it absolutely will not stop until it buys everyone. Who's next? More layoffs for everyone. Isn't the video game industry great? As a reward for all their hard work on Destiny 2, Bungie this week announced a massive slew of layoffs in the company, kicking an estimated 8% of the company to the curb. Apparently it's because a line didn't go up in some spreadsheet or didn't go up enough, or I don't know. It's hard to make clear from the HR-filtered press statements issued by Bungie. The long and the short of it is that not enough people are playing Destiny 2 these days. The people who Sony gave $3.6 billion to for buying Bungie are doing fine though. So that's all that really matters, right? And now for the latest game releases. Today sees the release of RoboCop Rogue City on PC, PS5 and the Xbox Series. Thirsty Suitors on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One and Switch. And tomorrow is all about WarioWare Move It on Switch. And, of course, Boulder Dash Jr. 8.5 for the Commodore 64. Some days I hate this industry and everyone in it. Anyway, back to the studio.
Thank you so much for the week in gaming news, Cameron. Do you all have thoughts and opinions?
Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk!
When I looked at the news this week, I just sent a video of it to my friend whose band is playing. My friend's band is Birdman, or the Unexpected Virtue of a Tony Hawk Pro Skater cover band.
Sorry, can you say that again one more time? Just a little slower?
Birdman, or the Unexpected Virtue of a Tony Hawk Pro Skater cover band.
That's beautiful. But yeah, I think it's going to be sick and radical.
I was going to say, is it going to be fully sick?
It's going to be fully sick. They're going to do ollies and 720s and the Jesus Christ one. You know the one? The one where they're where it was a thing in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater where you just launch yourself into the air. T-pose.
Yeah.
And you just T-pose through the air. It's quite majestic, I would think. How about you two?
Yeah, big Tony Hawk fan. Always have been. I played the original 3 games on the PlayStation.
What did you think about the remake?
Oh, I haven't played anything past then.
What? The remake was really impressive.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
It was a great. It was one of the best remake games of just ever, actually.
Yeah.
It's really, really that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really play.
It feels really nice.
I didn't play Tony Hawk that much growing up, and I didn't play any of the remake. But my goodness, what a glow up! What a glow up! It just feels like the correct. It's the vision.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've got to talk about the man himself, Tony Hawk, who will be here in Brisbane in person, which is freaking sweet.
That's so cool. I got really confused while I was trying to get my ticket because there are 2 events on, one on the 25th and one on the 27th, which is the one we spoke about.
Yeah.
And I should have just gotten tickets for both.
I mean, I think tickets are already sold out for the first event, which is
on the 25th at the Triffid. That one is sold out. That one's a night with Tony Hawk. The band is playing as well, which is why I got really confused.
That would be a little confusing. But the 27th event, that
it's
has
the one at the Fortitude
Valley Hall, and they're going to recreate the level as.
Yeah.
Is that sold out?
No, not yet, but tickets are selling really
Isn't
quickly.
Isn't it a vert ramp?
It's like a
full
half
2-story.
I think so, yeah.
Which level? Do we know? Is it the warehouse level from the first
I've got
game?
no
or
idea.
Oh, that's
we'll
such a
have to
good
find
question.
Find out. Let's find out.
Maybe
Look, we'll find out when we're doing music and we can... Yeah.
Sort of moving on, slightly downer. Kind of...
Just taking us down a notch.
Yeah.
Bungie. I've been a fan of Destiny for quite some time.
How did I know this was... I knew you were going to be like,
No.
Destiny.
So...
Destiny's only fun when I get to push you off cliffs.
Well, yes. That seems to be the source of fun for a lot of people, Rani. I don't know what it is
No.
about me, but anytime I stand next to a cliff, can't just do inventory management. Not when Rani or Toby or Caroline are around.
Are you?
No, but to be fair, I'll push them off cliffs too.
True,
Is
true.
your
It's not
username
just you.
still Dad?
I don't know, actually. It's been a very long time since I
Yeah.
logged back
Last
in.
time I played, I was like, "Wow, you are so lucky to have Dad as the username."
No, I think that was my
really-
nickname
All right, okay.
on Steam, which was different to your username. And I know that the whole username situation changed like a year ago, so I don't think it's as easy to
okay.
change it in game. But as someone who's like been following Destiny for quite a while and has admittedly fallen off the bandwagon perhaps like 2 years ago when the fear of missing out was just like actually just fear and anxiety and not good. It's sad.
Yeah.
It is a bit sad. But I mean, like, that's what happens, I guess, when you like it's still a business, it's still a company, and they're still likely to do sneaky little layoffs.
Capitalism things.
Yes, capitalism things.
If there's one thing I've noticed about the gaming industry, it's highly volatile when it comes to employment.
It
Yeah.
can be.
There should be unions.
There should.
There
should-
is
Yeah.
a union
There is.
But
there are
it's
more unions forming.
bundled in Australia. The union is bundled in with like the entire entertainment industry, so it's like not good.
And
It's
I'm
not
not even
actually
too sure what
specialized.
the
It's like MEAA, I think.
something like that.
The,
I'm not even too sure
yeah.
what the union situation is like over at Bungie headquarters.
No. Oh, it's in America, right?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not.
I'm not too sure, actually. Anyway, disappointed. But that is what it is. Sometimes in the games industry, or any industry, you'll be disappointed with the people who make the content you enjoy. Sometimes that's okay, sometimes it isn't. But moving on, with me in the studio tonight is Ray, Ez, and Ronnie, and also myself, Zara. And it has been 700 episodes of Z Games, which is kind of a lot.
It feels like 700 years.
I nearly said 7,000 episodes, which
7,000.
almost feels also correct. But what I wanted to do for tonight is drag a few of the people who have been instrumental to what Z Games is today. And I'm just going to interview you guys as if, like, I'm a professional or something. So, Ray,
Yes.
what has been your role in Z Games?
Well, I'm the creator, founder, original host, and executive producer of Z Games for the first 440 episodes.
Thank you.
Damn.
So that's
God.
a lot. So I'm still on most of the episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I haven't been here for what, a million years.
Yeah, we've got a bit of catching up
Yeah.
to do.
Another
But
140 to go, guys.
I'm going to drag you into the 800th episode. I'm just going to tap at my watch. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to like, Ray, you
I
better
tell you
start.
what, once you get to 900, that means that more than half will be have done by someone else, and then I won't be relevant anymore. So,
Oh, but you'll still always be relevant.
oh, thank you.
You'll have to be invited back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
kinda like
created us.
Yeah. You're the reason that we're here right now.
The creator.
So you're,
God tier Ray.
yeah, you kind of are God tier. Ez, what has your role been in Z Games?
I was the executive producer of Z Games for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
After a short period of time, it was like 9 months between Ray and I having it. And I took it just as the pandemic really started to lay in. So I kind of had to like I held the ship together for 3 years, really, between like just before COVID, during COVID, and then after COVID.
Yeah.
Mostly. Yeah.
I
those
do
3 years.
remember I joined Z Games sort of mid 2020.
Yeah. We were in the thick of things
Yeah.
at that point, I think.
And I do remember that like basically it was up to you and Rani for a lot
Yeah, it
of
was
the
a
time.
while.
Yeah, Yumi and Caitlin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the 3 of us.
And I gotta say, probably been some of my favorite years, weirdly enough. It's just been a ton of fun ever since.
Yeah, we big family.
Rani, you're not an EP,
No.
but you are also, you're technically the oldest member of Zed Games who's still a part of Zed Games.
Yeah.
does
And
that-
the youngest person
And
on
you're
the
also
team.
the youngest person. I think that still stands.
Yeah.
Your whole life has just been Zed Games.
Your whole life
My
is
whole
Zed
life
Games.
has
You
been
were
Zed Games.
born into Zed Games, while the rest of us were simply.
I live in the walls.
You. Oh yeah, right. You were born
You
in
just
the walls.
retreat
Yeah.
into there.
How long have you been with Zed Games, Ronnie?
It's been 4 years.
4 years.
So I joined in that brief period between Ray and Ez when we had our old EP, and I kind of just got roped into it, and like with a Sims review. It was Sims Island Paradise.
That
I came
feels
in.
so appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I reviewed it, and I had no idea what was going on. And then I just kept getting asked back, and then all of a sudden I was a subscriber, and I belonged to 4ZZZ.
And the rest is history.
Exactly, and I've been here ever since.
You
know,
haven't
like,
left
with
at all.
varying periods of being on air. It's really great to have a big team now because I have so much else going on. But
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier when we have a bigger team. Games are a big time investment.
yes,
And something that I think not a lot of people realize is that we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
We're all volunteers. Some of us are parents, some of us work full time or study full time or do both in some form. A lot of us some of us are actual game designers, some of us are musicians, some of us are writers, some of us are artists, some of us are just really big fans of the medium. And I think it's really cool that we've managed to bring together this team, this assortment of people.
We're also like really diverse.
Yeah.
Everyone's very different in their life experience too.
And we'll get to hear from the team a little bit later in the show. But I did want to ask you, Ray, specifically, how did you get started?
Well, I've got a bit of a long history with Triple Z as a station. So I used to play in a punk rock band in the 2000s, and we'd been in here for interviews and stuff a bunch of times.
Nice.
And once I was sitting on the couch in a share house, and I got dragged along to a station meeting randomly.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be a fun idea. And from there, I ended up inheriting a late night radio show that was on Monday nights, 12 till 2.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, this is a bit fun, but I want to make it my own. So when applications came around, I renamed it The Android's Dungeon.
Nice.
And I made it my show.
That's so sick.
And I just made it like the show that I wanted to hear at midnight on Triple Z with all the weirdness and all the wackiness. And I put my heart and soul into it. And I really like went crazy on the production values. And one day someone just sent me like a copy of Assassin's Creed 2 for PlayStation 3. And I said, oh, that came in the mailbox. Nice. I guess I'll review it. And then I did. And I think the station manager heard that I was like pulling out all the stops in this midnight show and said, what's this guy doing on the radio at midnight? He's like actually doing cool stuff. Let's give him his own primetime show. And yeah, early 2010, I got the 6 till 7 slot on a Wednesday and just ran with it.
that was the slot.
Amazing. That was
the slot.
That was the slot.
The
That's
OG
where
slot.
I started.
You
6 to
had that
7 on a
slot for
Wednesday.
10 years?
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was for so long. I sort of thought that like every couple of, like, I don't know, few years sort of switched between.
No, it was a big deal. 'Cause
It was a massive deal when
they
we moved
changed
to
it
this
on
one.
when I was EP.
Yeah.
And they're moving it from Wednesday from 6, and I was having a panic because I'm like,
Yeah.
our listeners
think
have
at that
only ever
point-
known us on this time. So.
Yeah, it was like I think at that point it was just you and I. Like we were starting
yeah.
to get people to come in on the team, and you were like, "Can you still do Thursdays?" I was like, "I don't know, I'll make it work."
We were also on like the one of the queer nights of
Yeah,
4ZZZ broadcasting
Wednesday
too.
used to be like Zed
So,
Games into
Dykes
Dykes
on
on
Mics.
Mics into
Mm.
queer radio, and we have always been a particularly queer team.
Yeah, we
Um,
have. So
And so it was just like,
like,
queer
goodbye.
and queer. Yeah.
I think Hazel put it as 4ZZZ's most accidentally transgender show. Which
really,
is,
is it that accidental with games? Come on.
I mean, there's a pipeline going on somewhere, and we don't need to unpack that right now.
We'll leave that one to the
How did
academics.
you get started?
How did I start?
Yeah.
So I was already involved with Zed. I was on Dykes on Mics, in fact, and when I would come into the station here, before Dykes on Mics was Zed Games, and I'd see Ray actually not in the studio that we're currently in, Studio 1, which is adjacent to us where we are right now in this moment. And Ray just has... I don't know how many listeners know what Ray looks like, but he has a really gorgeous smile.
There it is.
He's very beamy and happy, and every time I saw him, I was like, gosh, he must be like a really nice guy.
You could say that
just
he's
from a nice smile.
A ray of sunshine.
Oh, God. I am. I'm a ray of sunshine. So then I saw him and I thought, I might say hi, I like video games, and I just start chatting to him, and he's like, why don't you just come on one day and review something? And I was like, all right, I don't really know I don't know anything about games. And he's like, you don't need to. You just need to play them and you just talk about it. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll give it a crack. And so I reviewed Overwatch, which was back in 2016.
Oh, you remember when Overwatch was new?
I do remember when Overwatch was new.
When it was new, that was 7 years.
What do you mean 7 years?
Be quiet.
7 years ago.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, 7 years ago. So that's when I started. And then from there, I ended up falling in love with video games and the medium. I went and studied video games. I went and became a junior developer. And then when I came back, I took over Z Games.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, I already know that you got wrangled into things, Ronnie. You did get wrangled.
Ronnie wrangled.
Ronnie wrangled.
Right. Do you have I guess a most memorable moment of Z Games?
It's really hard to narrow it down to like any top 5 or even top 10 moments, but I did enjoy like the musical guests we'd have on. Probably my favorite would be Tripod, who came in the first year. That was our first big interview, and we did a pre-record, and we were like, I think in this studio here before it was a studio, and we did a little interview, and they played their instruments and played a song, and I recorded it, and it was just me in the room.
Oh,
it was really magical.
Cool. That's so cool.
And probably the big highlight for me was when Ben Eli had an art exhibition about video games, and he decided to promo it on Z Games in 2012. And I when I was a kid, I bought 2 Playing the day it came out. That guy was like a legend, a god to me. And so the fact that he came on Z Games and he hung out for the whole episode and he talked to us and we had great times, that was amazing.
That's beautiful. How about you, Ez? Do you have a most memorable moment?
I think it was really tricky for me because I was sort of steering the ship of Z Games during a time when events were not really a thing that you could go to, and getting people in the station was kind of challenging.
We did a few live streams.
We did a few, yeah. I did, actually, I used to stream pretty regularly on the social media, like go live stream so people could see me at the panel. But probably one of the most memorable moments was paneling at Game On Festival at Powerhouse, which is now Queensland's Games Festival. And you all still run that. That's been running for a long time. And that was a huge highlight because I got to actually interact with developers in the local scene and people who I actually got to meet people who recognized my voice, and that was the first time of like meeting people be like,
that's where we met.
We met. That's right. The first time we met was at Game On. I don't know. I really loved being around the energy of people experiencing games and sharing in that joy.
Yeah,
so that was probably one of my most memorable moments.
It feels like a really cozy community here up in Brisbane. Ronnie, do you have a memorable moment? Aside from all the times that the studio caught on fire?
Yeah. Aside from all the times that the studio has exploded or I've run into the studio randomly in the middle of a show. No, I think we very recently did a Mario Kart tournament with Netherworld.
We did.
And I think that might be a highlight for me. For now, it'll get topped at some point, I'm sure.
It will get topped. But Mario Kart tournament was pretty dang fun.
That was a lot of fun. It brought back a lot of memories from the times when I used to be in the Super Smash Bros. Comp scene.
I'm gonna pick your brain about being in the comp scene. But while I'm doing that, we're gonna be listening to...
So you're listening to Z Games, is that it?
You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
Hello, you're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games. You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
You're listening to Z Games.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hello.
You're listening to Z Games.
My name is Hazel. I love Morrowind, and I hate League of Legends. My favorite Zed Games moment was singing a Waluigi-inspired cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah on episode 670.
Ayo! I'm Caroline. My favourite video game is the Jak and Daxter series. Least favourite video game, Life is Strange. And my favourite Zed Games moment was when we all did a sing-along to Waluigi.
That was so beautiful. Thank you all.
I'm Paul. I grew up on point-and-click adventures and inscrutable PC games stolen from local bulletin boards. These days I like a little bit of everything, but mostly offbeat indie games. I dislike games based around grinding, taking up time and demanding your regular attention. So most mobile, Pokemon, MMO, RPGs and live games can right off. Outer Wilds may be the finest game ever created, but so is Inside and Disco Elysium. My favourite Zed Games moments are probably when we do live performances from music games, the recent Trombone Champ review with Caroline being a key example. It's like Guitar Hero all over again. Ah, the memories.
Hey, I'm Toby. I edit the podcast, make the regularly overlong and way too in-depth gaming news. And I do reviews when I can get time to play a game between looking after my 2-year-old boy and running a homestead. And that's why you haven't heard me live on the radio much. Now, my favourite game. I'll be honest, right now I don't have a favourite game, mainly because I used to be an MMO junkie, but with my patchy rural internet and time-consuming bubba, I just can't indulge that itch. So when I find one, I'll do a review and you'll hear about it. Worst game? It's a toss-up between Black Desert Online, because of the inbuilt gambling for upgrades feeding those addictive personalities, or Destiny 2, with a seasonal infinite upgrade cycle that I just can't forgive anymore. Lastly, my favourite Zed Game moments would have to be this one.
Turtles.
Have a great 700th episode, everyone.
Hey, I'm Maylee. I've been with Zed Games since 2020. I am a massive tabletop RPG fan. I play a lot of board games, story-based games, strategy games, and city builders, but I try to dip into a bit of everything. My favourite game is probably Telltale's Tales from the Borderlands. It's definitely not a perfect game, but I just had a ridiculous amount of fun with it. My least favourite game is probably Skyrim, and it does not deserve that. It's a fine game, but I have personal beef with it that I will not elaborate. I don't think I have a specific favourite moment being part of Zed Games. It might be the moment every week just before we go live where I still get butterflies.
G'day, I'm Peter. I'm a polyamorous gamer who loves playing socially. If it's got co-op, you can generally find me trying to play it with someone. My favourite game of all time, and one I wish they would remake, is The Legend of Dragoon on the original PlayStation. Out of all the games, my least favourite would probably be any of the Call of Duty games. I found a home here at Zed Games and 4ZZZ over the past year, with a fantastic community of hosts and a really passionate fan base to support us. I love attending events such as the Indie Game Developers Showcase we held at Netherworld, or helping host the Queensland Games Festival earlier this year.
It was only the Queensland Games Festival, formerly known as Go 423. Ooh.
My name is Sarah, a Lost by Reignited, and I hate Sonic Dash. And my favourite Zed Games moment is every time I'm not in a studio and I get to listen to the show like our listeners. I get to hear what they hear, and what I hear makes me proud. It's every moment when the crew dissolves into laughter. It's every interaction with a talented developer with something they are brave enough to share. It's when a game affects one of us in a way we didn't expect, and it's getting to share that. It's just Zed Games. Our experiences, creating experiences, and sharing them with you, our listeners. And you share back. It's neat.
My name's Cam, and I've been playing video games since the days of the 2600 and the Game & Watch. My favourite video game of all time is Whizball on the Commodore 64. It was made by 3 people who had no real plan and just made something incredibly wonderfully creative, colourful, and absolutely wild. And that's what I love about video games. They could be absolutely anything. My least favourite video games are anything released by Atari in the last 30 years. My favourite Zed Games moment, beyond being welcomed by this wacky little team of ours, is making connections. It's realising we have something in common. Even though we may never have met before, you're listening and I don't know you, but I feel like I do because we share a common love. And it's a real connection through games that is something incredibly special.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was a few words from the Zed Games team. And I thought it would be appropriate after we've reminisced on the history of Zed Games and a bit about the journey here to also just sort of reacquaint yourselves with the current team and what we're doing here. And I guess I just have one last question for all of you. Are you proud of Zed Games?
Obviously.
If I wasn't proud, I would have refused this invitation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
I mean, I work at 4ZZZ, so I couldn't refuse.
No, I would be like,
It would just drag you
what did
down for us.
You
Yes.
didn't have a choice.
No,
you
But-
did have a choice, right?
But that's right. But no, as the creator of Zed Games, it was back in January 2010, nearly 14 years ago, that we went first to air, and we had the plan for the first 4 episodes and a little notepad, and so just see what it's become all these years later. You know, my hand's completely off the wheel for years and years now, and it's still going, and it's better than ever. So, hell, I'm proud as hell.
I think you've set a fantastic foundation, and Ez and Ronnie, I think you two have built up on it. And Ronnie, I think you've helped to sort of link Ez's era and my era. I don't really want to call it my
It's
era.
your era.
It is my era. And like 3 years ago, if you told me that this is where we would be at, it would have just sounded like a dream come true. And it has been a dream come true. And I think that's it for the emotional portion of the evening.
You're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ.
Oi mate, you're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
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 Got a bit carried away.
Wow, how good was that? That was the ending credits theme from the 2006 PS2 game God Hand, published by Clover Studio, and that followed on from Nothing by Necrobarista from Soft Science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
That
at
was,
you
Did I
go.
do that?
nailed it.
You
It's
did
like
it
you've
so
never
great.
left.
Yeah.
And you're listening to 4ZZZ. This is the Zed Game Show.
Oh, that's so good. Do you want to switch seats? I mean, I know we've got like...
I can feel Toby clipping that right now. Going, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I just want to say this has been a fantastic night and a stunning year. I'm so proud of everything we have managed to accomplish this year, last year, all the years. Zed Games is what it is today because of people like you, people like myself, people like my team, and people like our listeners. And I'm just really glad that we could all celebrate the 700th episode all together like this. So it's
I want to say as well, really quick.
Yeah.
For Zed Games, as we discussed like off air a little bit, is probably the longest running gaming radio broadcast in the country.
We think so.
We believe so.
We're ready to be proven wrong, but also don't break our hearts.
No, they're not here to prove us wrong right now. We are the longest.
I'm saying it now.
Yeah.
Clip this, Toby. Longest running game show
in Australia.
Yeah, full stop. The
Yeah.
end.
That's us.
Bite me.
But it is actually time for us to say goodbye and good night.
Good night.
And
Wait. I think we sang the Bear in the Big Blue House goodnight song on one episode.
No.
We're not doing that tonight. I will cry.
No, we won't do
I
it
will
tonight.
cry.
But I think we did.
With that, good night.
Good night.
Good
Goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.
And I love you.
I love you too.
I love you too.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.